Have you ever had those times where your life has been going so well that you start to get a little bit suspicious? Like everything is working out perfectly. You're making more money. You're looking good. You're smelling good. Your relationship is going great. Somehow every decision you make just works out again and again and again. And instead of enjoying it, you're just sitting there thinking like, all right, when is this all going to come crumbling down? This can't go on forever because there's no way life is just going to let me have all of this. And then eventually it does all come crumbling down. And even though you expected it, it still hurts to see. That's basically what watching Alex Pereira's UFC career has felt like. That he came into the UFC, beat Israel Adesanya, became a double champ, maybe not simultaneous, but still a double champ, running through the division, gets his rematch against Magomed Ankalaev. Like, insane career, amazing career. And now, when we look at Alex Pereira, no one thinks, former double champion. No one thinks, man, this guy was one of the greatest of all time. Like, he was getting greatest of all time shouts. Now people just think the guy who got schooled by Cyril Gane, the guy who just got knocked out, the guy who's kind of whining on Twitter. The downfall of Alex Pereira has actually been a real shame to see, and we're going to break down how this all went down with a complete career breakdown of Alex Pereira and how he got to where he is now. But before we do that, guys, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. And if you don't worry. I won't be mad. I'll just be a little bit disappointed and a little bit sad. But in all seriousness, guys, I'm so grateful and so fortunate for all you guys who have subscribed so far. It means the world to me. And for all you guys who will subscribe, that also means the world to me. But we're not going to get all sappy today. We're going to get into this video, the downfall of Alex Pereira. And guys, don't mind my voice. I'm a little bit sick right now, but we grind through. We keep pushing. We keep pushing through. But guys, the downfall of Alex Pereira. The first fight in his career was against Andreas Michailidis. And I think you guys would be a little bit surprised to hear Andreas Michailidis was the favorite in this fight. I think it was near evens. Andreas Michailidis was the favorite in this fight. That shows how badly people rated Alex Pereira. He had been submitted in his first MMA fight, but that was years and years and years ago. He hadn't been trained with a Glover. That was when he kind of tried to cross over. He lost, then he came back later on, and that's when his real run started. Gets into the UFC and fights Andreas Michailidis. Gets controlled for that first round. Does some decent damage, but for the most part, just gets controlled. Joe Rogan. This is where the famous Joe Rogan. He looks like he's made out of mahogany. Man, this Alex Pereira guy, he looks like he's made out of mahogany. You hear what I'm saying, DC? Yeah, I'll hear you, Joe. I'll hear you, Joe. But that's what that famous line comes from. This fight, Alex Pereira is towering over Andreas Michailidis. We know how big Alex Pereira is now, so it's not as much of a shock. And he's fighting at heavyweight, fighting at light heavyweight, where it's not as pronounced as it was at middleweight. But at middleweight, our first time seeing him here, he looked like a monster. He looked like a freak of nature. He really did. I gotta give it to Joe. He looked like he was made out of mahogany, towering over Andreas Michailidis, but got out-grappled in that first round. And it was unfortunate to see because everyone's like, man, this guy was he's the guy who beat Izzy, like one of the greatest kickboxers of all time. Man, he's just gonna get smudged out for the entire round. And then he comes out and throws a flying knee 18 seconds into round 2. And he doesn't put Andreas Michailidis out cold, drops him bad, a little bit of ground and pound needed, and then finishes him in the first round, or in the second round. And people are like, man, this hype might actually come true, which is funny because I don't remember a single flying knee KO, unless I'm misremembering. I can't remember a single flying knee KO he's gotten in kickboxing. So he's just pulling stuff out of his hat for this fight. But insane from Alex Pereira for his debut at MSG, UFC 268, the Colby Covington-Kamaru Usman rematch. Huge card, amazing showcasing for Alex Pereira. And the kids got hype. The kids got hype going into his second fight. People were predicting, man, now that he's got the UFC jitters over, big card, his next fight, no matter who it's against, he's probably going to beat him, as long as it's not like some ranked guy. He gets Bruno Silva. Bruno Silva is ranked pretty lowly at middle, had a great chin. Alex Pereira, he goes the distance with Bruno Silva. In that first round, in that second round, Bruno Silva is getting takedowns, having some striking success, but Pereira keeps getting back up, and he is outdoing Bruno Silva in that first round. In the second round, even more so. And then in the third round, I don't know how Bruno Silva... I think Bruno Silva, since this fight, has been getting chinned over and over and over again by guys who should knock him out. I think Pereira broke his chin in this fight. That third round, the amount of damage Alex Pereira put on him is an entire career of damage. He was landing left hooks, wobbling Bruno Silva, broke Bruno Silva's jaw and his nose in that third round. His face was broke. In the words of Kamaru Usman, I broke your face. I broke your face. He broke Bruno Silva's face. All props to Bruno Silva. He showed that getting knocked out, going out cold is a choice, because he made the choice to not get knocked out in that fight. 30-27 on every scorecard for Alex Pereira. You could argue a 29-28, but 30-27 is not a bad scorecard. Alex Pereira, in that third round, showed he was levels above Bruno Silva. It's MMA, so it took him a little bit of time to get acquainted to it. It's not kickboxing, but schools Bruno Silva and earns himself a jump up the rankings against, as you guys all famously know, Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland was a top 5 middleweight at the time. A lot of people were saying, like, oh man, this is too much for Alex Pereira. Sean Strickland, he's just going to out-grapple him. Sean Strickland didn't have the same reputation he does now, but he was an undefeated middleweight at the time. No matter what people say, he was an undefeated top 5 middleweight at the time. He had lost at welterweight before, but at middleweight, had never been beaten, had never been stopped at middleweight. Of course, he had never been beaten. Top 5. Maybe not, people didn't think he was championship level, but they were saying if he beats Pereira at that press conference, a lot of trash talk of his, as you guys remember, although, no man that beats off the cartoons is going to beat me. You know, that famous Strickland line, I guess he was right. He did beat Israel Adesanya later on. But this not a Strickland video. But Strickland was getting shouts. If he beat Pereira, give him that title shot against Izzy if Izzy beats Cannonier on that same card. Alex Pereira puts a quick stop to that. He was being fast-tracked, and he showed why he was being fast-tracked. Put Sean Strickland, and that win is only age better, put Sean Strickland out cold in the first round with his famous left hook. It was crazy to see. People were saying, why would Sean Strickland stand with a championship level kickboxer? This is stupid. Wow, this is dumb. But people were also saying Alex Pereira knocked him out in the first round because it was all on the feet. Israel Adesanya's not a wrestler. Israel Adesanya, he might just beat Israel Adesanya. Alex Pereira, he's shown he's not just some kickboxer transitioning to MMA. No, he's an MMA fighter now, and a pretty good one at that. And so that fight gets put up pretty quickly. I'm pretty sure this is one of the quickest debuts to title fight in UFC history, but he had 3 fights, and they were all pretty quick. Let's see, July, March. Yeah, from November to July, 3 fights. Then he gets his title shot in MSG that November against Israel Adesanya. He's 2-0 up on Israel Adesanya in kickboxing, won by KO. Some people say the first fight was a robbery. Israel Adesanya keeps saying that during the build-up to this fight. He's saying, have you guys watched that first fight? Exactly. But no one cares. Everyone remembers that he was put on oxygen for that knockout that Alex Pereira got on him in that second fight. But what a lot of people don't remember is that Israel Adesanya, he had Pereira out on his feet in that second kickboxing fight they had. Got a standing 10 count. But Alex Pereira comes back and knocked out Israel Adesanya. So people were saying, and leading up to this fight, Israel Adesanya was, of course, the favorite, the reigning middleweight champion, multiple title fights, long win streak at middleweight. And this was just Alex Pereira's 4th fight. Even though people weren't expecting wrestling, they were just saying, like, man, I think there's just going to be love. But a lot of people, they believed in Alex Pereira. They thought Alex Pereira has a pretty good chance of winning this fight. Who knows? And Alex Pereira gets put out on his feet in the first round by Israel Adesanya in the last second of the round. But he survives and somehow manages to win that second round. In the third round, Israel Adesanya out-wrestles Alex Pereira. From Alex Pereira actually trying to get the takedown first, Israel Adesanya out-wrestles him the entire round. In that 4th round, Alex Pereira starts picking it up at the end of that round, but he was too tired from the wrestling, so Israel Adesanya, he just got a bigger lead at the beginning of that 4th round, won that 4th round. Alex Pereira is down 3-1 and needs a finish or a 10-8 to get a draw in this fight in that 5th round. And Alex Pereira goes out there genuinely seeing red. He's seeing red. That's all I can describe it as. And walks down Israel Adesanya, hits him with a leg kick. Israel Adesanya falls off balance. He says, it was my perennial nerve. No one really believes that, though. Alex Pereira corners him against the cage, hits him with a left hook. Izzy's out on his feet by that point. He's slipping and dipping, trying to get out the way, falls over, stands back up, gets standing TKO'd. A lot of people say it was an early stoppage. I could see it being an early stoppage. However, it was an early stoppage where I don't see it going any other way. I think Izzy was just saved from more damage. But hey, I don't like early stoppages because that narrative can arrive, but I do think Izzy was saved from more damage. No one's really too mad at the stoppage. Izzy was out on his feet, looking down at the ground, bobbing around, and Alex Pereira becomes the middleweight champion in just 4 UFC fights and beats his rival and goes 3-0 up on Israel Adesanya. And I'll be honest, a lot of people now, if you're a newer fan, you don't realize the type of rivalry these Israel Adesanya and the Israel Adesanya haters and Alex Pereira fans had. It was insane. People were saying, oh, Alex Pereira just has fans because they hate Israel Adesanya. Oh, yeah, well, Izzy is winning every fight. But the Israel Adesanya fans don't have much to say right now because he is technically on paper 3-0 down against Alex Pereira. And of course, they get an immediate rematch. Israel Adesanya gets his immediate rematch, and he comes in like he always does, not with too much of a layoff, just a few months later. And Israel Adesanya finishes Alex Pereira in the second round. An insane comeback story. Alex Pereira, in my opinion, won that first round, but the judges gave it to Israel Adesanya. Very close round. In that second round, Alex Pereira is walking down Izzy, hurting him to the leg, has Izzy hurt to the body. Izzy's covering up on the cage. And as he goes for the finish against Israel Adesanya, hands down, as he always does, Israel Adesanya throws a perfect right hand counter. Alex Pereira has this weird thing where he gets rocked. He kind of does like the Fenton lean, where he just bends over at the waist at first, like he did in his first Israel Adesanya fight. And then Israel Adesanya hits him again and puts him out cold. This isn't a TKO. This isn't like a, almost out cold, like the Max Holloway versus Ilia Topuria knockout where, yeah, Max is maybe out cold a little bit, but, wakes up. No, Alex Pereira was out cold. Like, not conscious whatsoever. And Israel Adesanya gives an amazing speech. I remember during this time, I was coping. I was a big Pereira fan. I wanted him to beat Izzy. He was winning. Then I see this happen, and I'm just staring at my computer in complete silence watching this. I'm getting calls from my friends. I'm not picking up any of them. I'm just in complete cope mode. I'm like, Pereira was winning that. Well, he deserves the rematch. He deserves, well, whatever. But Israel Adesanya, he said, whoever laughs last laughs best. There we go. And doesn't give Pereira the rematch. So Pereira, after this fight, decides to move up to light heavyweight. And people are saying that's a bad idea. Sure, he's planning on fighting very soon after. Bad idea. Moving up, you just got chinned by Izzy. His career is over. He's like 36 or something already. Yeah, this is it for Alex Pereira. At this point, people were writing him off. His big hype was beating Israel Adesanya. Now that Izzy had beat him, he wasn't getting the rematch. All the hype was kind of gone. People thought, he's just going to become another run-of-the-mill light heavyweight when he moves up. And he fights Jan Blachowicz. And he wins a split decision. But he was moving up to light heavyweight. That's a lot of people don't remember. People were saying, yeah, he might be a big middleweight, but those light heavyweights are big guys. And he goes in there, and he's bigger than Jan Blachowicz, and people are surprised by that. And it's at altitude. They both get really gassed, but Jan gets more gas. In that first round, he takes down Alex Pereira, and people expected Jan Blachowicz to just finish him with the grappling in the first round, because if Israel Adesanya can out-grapple you, imagine what Jan Blachowicz can do. Jan Blachowicz takes his back for the first round, but Pereira survives. In that second round, Jan is gassed from holding that body lock, that body triangle, and Alex Pereira wins that second round. In the third round, it all comes down to whether you count that last takedown at the end and the ground control to outweigh a very close round on the feet, where Alex Pereira probably like tit for tat edged it out a little bit, but they give the decision to Alex Pereira in a split decision. And a lot of people are happy about that because they're happy to see Alex Pereira, a guy moving up to light heavyweight. People thought his career was over. He beats Jan Blachowicz. And Jan Blachowicz being a perennial number one guy in this division, that wins you a title shot if you beat him, even if it's by a close split decision. And he fights Yuri Prochazka for the vacant light heavyweight championship. Because Jamal Hill had just vacated the belt after he won the vacant belt from Yuri Prochazka vacating the belt. But Yuri Prochazka is back from his shoulder injury, and he fights Alex Pereira. In that first round, I thought Alex Pereira won that first round. He dropped Yuri multiple times with leg kicks. The judges gave it to Yuri because of his ground control time. But in that second round, Yuri Prochazka's picking it up on the feet a little bit. Stuns Alex Pereira a couple times, with his unorthodox style. But what also comes with that style is his chin in the air, and he runs Pereira. Alex Pereira drops him bad. Yuri Prohaska, oh, he's elbowing him to the back of the head. It looks like Yuri might be out. It's kind of an early stoppage, according to a lot of people. I don't think so. I think the elbows put him out. Once Alex Pereira gets up, Yuri's able to get back to his feet. We know how Yuri is. He'll always get back up, but a fair stoppage, and Alex Pereira becomes a 2-division champion in 7 UFC fights. After people thought just 2 fights ago, his career is over. He's never going to win another fight again. Israel Adesanya was a perfect matchup for him. He's not a championship-level guy if he's fighting, well-rounded guys. And now he's a 2-division champion in 7 UFC fights. His hype is unbelievable, but it only gets better from here. Jamal Hill. Oh, what makes it even crazier? No. We'll get to that. Jamal Hill, UFC 300. He's headlining UFC 300. A lot of people are saying, really, Alex Pereira versus Jamal Hill headlining the greatest card of all time? Are you serious? This is ridiculous. I can't believe this. But they proved them wrong. After the Max Holloway, Justin Gaethje fight, that flatline KO on the last second, people are like, yeah, nothing's going to top that. Alex Pereira goes out there and fights Jamal Hill, a former champion. He gets low-blowed by Jamal Hill. Herb Dean comes in to, try to, pause the action like, you good? Alex Pereira waves him off, says no thank you. Immediately knocks out Jamal Hill right after that with his signature left hook, that famous left hook. People were saying, I remember Lucas Tracy saying his left hook is overrated. Now he's knocked out Israel Adesanya. He's knocked out Yuri Prohaska. And he's knocked out Jamal Hill with that left hook. Became his iconic weapon. And he knocks out Jamal Hill. Ground and pound TKO. Not really necessary, but goes for it anyway. And then does the celebration. Pointing at Jamal Hill. Goes viral. And Alex Pereira is an absolute superstar. No way his hype can get bigger than this. Maybe his hype has just peaked at this. You'd be wrong to think that. He then fights Yuri Prohaska. After McGregor pulls out, Pereira and Yuri Prohaska decide to step in on short notice and headline UFC 303 just a few months after they both fought on UFC 300. He drops Yuri at the end of the first round, and it's looking bad for Yuri. But Yuri's on the ground. He's beckoning him in. Even though the round's over, people are like, okay, Yuri can recover. And then he head kick KOs him 13 seconds into round 2. And that's all she wrote. Amazing win from Alex Pereira, and he's an absolute superstar. Just won on UFC 300. Fights a couple cards later. Gets a second round KO after dominating the whole fight on short notice. Absolute insanity. This guy is a superstar. And then he fights Khalil Roundtree. And Khalil does better than most people expect. He drops Pereira in round 2, wins round 1. And Pereira slowly starts to take over, though. He finishes Khalil in a brutal 4th round finish. An amazing fight from him, but Pereira did worse than people thought. And at this time, people were starting to say he's ducking Magomed Ankalaev. Magomed Ankalaev is a grappler. Magomed Ankalaev is his kryptonite. Magomed Ankalaev would beat him. Khalil Roundtree did this to him. Man, imagine what Ankalaev would do. That's the real narrative coming out of this fight. It is an amazing fight. People want Pereira to beat Ankalaev because they're like, this was a war, and Ankalaev doesn't give us fights like this. But it doesn't matter because in his next fight, he does fight Ankalaev, and he loses a unanimous decision where it could have been very close. The 48-47, I think, is the correct scorecard. There's a world where you could give it to Alex Pereira, but I think that'd be the wrong decision. Ankalaev goes 0 for 12 on takedowns. Pereira is able to stuff all his takedowns, but Ankalaev's pressure is just too much for Pereira and the takedown threat. Pereira never really gets going, gets rocked by Ankalaev in that second round. Rocks Ankalaev a little bit in the 5th round, but it's too little too late, isn't able to do anything with it, and loses the belt in a pretty lackluster decision against Ankalaev. And people are saying his career is over. It's like the Izzy fight, but even worse this time. They're like, yeah, Ankalaev is just too good for him. He'll never beat Ankalaev. If he can't beat Ankalaev, then what's he even... Is he moving up to heavyweight? Or what is he going to do after this? Off of a loss? Probably going to lose at heavyweight. But luckily for him, Alex Pereira gets an immediate rematch against Magomed Ankalaev. Not a lot of hype going into this fight. People think Ankalaev is just going to beat him again. And he knocks out Ankalaev in the first round. Pereira is able to then rewrite the first fight and say, oh, that was a fluke. I was sick. No one can prove him wrong. Comes out there, hurts Ankalaev with the leg kicks that he wasn't able to do in the first fight. Drops Ankalaev in that first round. Bad with the right hand. Ankalaev kind of curls up on the ground, hits him with elbows to the body and finishes him. His hype is back, and he moves up the heavyweight right after this fight to fight Cyril Gane for the interim heavyweight championship, which if Alex Pereira won, I think people would just see that as the undisputed heavyweight championship. I don't want to talk about Cyril Gane. I hate Cyril Gane. to my core. But after that Cyril Gane fight, people are probably thinking, oh, Cyril Gane, he's kind of the real champion over Aspinall. If Alex Pereira beats him, he's the real champion. Unfortunately, he gets absolutely schooled by Cyril Gane. He gets speed mugged by Cyril Gane. And Alex Pereira, he lands one good punch in that entire fight, which is at the end of the first round, and then gets dropped by Cyril Gane with a jab and TKO'd by Cyril Gane once he gets back up against the fence. A bad loss for Pereira. But a lot of the narrative going out of this fight is the Cyril Gane illegal back of the head shots, which I made a video on that. I hate Cyril Gane, and I hope he gets cut from the UFC. But those back of the head shots, Alex Pereira starts to cling on to that and saying that was the reason he lost. Saying if those back of the head shots hadn't happened, he would have recovered and beat Cyril Gane. Cyril Gane was getting tired. And he starts making a lot of excuses. Starts blaming Herb Dean for his loss. Starts blaming everyone for his loss except himself. And I get that those were illegal shots, but right now, if you look at Alex Pereira's Twitter, he's getting ratioed in all of his tweets. People saying he's a coper. He's only tweeting about, how he got fluked, tweeting about, cheaters and everything now when he wasn't talking about it before. Now that he got illegally elbowed in the back of the head, he thinks, it's just kind of a bad look for him now. He's just gotten KO'd. There's no real way to see him come back. Yeah, maybe he can beat a guy like, I don't even know who he gets put against, Josh Hokett, win himself a title shot again, but no one really sees him winning. Maybe he does what he's always done. He loses his fights, comes back better than ever. People are doubting him. Maybe that's what he's going to do. But right now, it kind of looks like he's 38 years old. Not going to get any better. Noticeably slower at heavyweight. Noticeably smaller than the guys he's fighting at heavyweight. Got skill mugged and speed mugged by a bigger guy at heavyweight. It looks like this may be the end of Alex Pereira. And I hope I'm wrong, but it may be the end of Alex Pereira. And a lot of the fans are turning against him too. It's not like before where fans have, they've still been fans of his, but they're just thinking, you know what? He's not going to win this fight. I think it's over for his career. People are turning on him after this fight because of a lot of the cope he's doing. And I think this may just be the end of Alex Pereira's career. And I hope I'm wrong, but it very well may be at least the end of his championship career. But let me know if you guys think I'm wrong in the comments. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think Alex Pereira can get the belt back at any division? Is he going to cut back down to light heavyweight? I really don't know. But guys, let me know what you think of my video in the comments below. Remember to like, remember to subscribe. I'll be back tomorrow with another video. Peace out.